Hey players, now I've shared a lot of different stories of my failures with different girls, but this time I want to share a success story that I don't even know how I pulled off. This is the story of how I walked into a party, won over a group of girls, and had 2 girls fighting over my attention for the entire night. Sounds too good to be true? Well, let me tell you the story first, and from there, you can decide. Back in the day, my brother was dating a girl that was in a college sorority, so she had a lot of sorority friends and went to a lot of sorority parties. And I had went with them to a few of the parties, but one party in particular stood out above all the rest. This was a red, yellow, and green party. Now at the time, I didn't really know exactly what that was, so someone had to explain it to me. Basically, a red, yellow, and green party means you wear the color of the type of relationship status that you have. Red means you're in a relationship, yellow means you're teetering on that line, and green means you're single. At this time, I wasn't dating anyone, so I decided to wear green for the night. And this is around the time that I was learning a lot about PUA, the pickup artistry, how to talk and interact with girls. So in wearing green and learning all those things, once combined, I knew I was going to try a lot of different things that night. We headed over to the party, which was in some random bar, and when I walked in, I saw a sea of different colors amongst people. At first, it was a little overwhelming because there were tons of people we just didn't know. But we ended up stationing ourselves right by the pool table where my brother and his girlfriend and all her friends were standing. This is the problem sometimes when you go into a new place and you don't immediately start interacting with people. You end up finding a spot, staying there, and spending the whole night just looking at everyone. I saw that I was falling into that comfort. I was just standing around, making eye contact with people, but not talking to anyone because I didn't want to leave the little circle we built. But I knew I had to leave if I wanted to make the most of the night. So me, my brother, and his girlfriend left the bar, went down to the corner store, got some snacks, and when we walked back in, I decided to restart my brain. Going back into the bar, I didn't allow myself to hesitate. I walked right up to a group of girls that were all wearing green. I ended up standing right next to their circle, and when they saw me come over, they kind of turned to look at me to see what I had to say. So I very slowly asked them a question. I started off by saying, "Hey girls, I have a question." Looked around for a bit and then said, "Why the heck is everyone wearing green?" They thought the humor in my presentation of how I delivered that whole opening line was funny, which allowed them to feel a little bit more comfortable talking to me. They explained the rules of the colors, yada yada yada, and before I knew it, I was now talking to this group of girls that were interested in me because I was an outside stranger who made conversation with them. In this group, there were 4 girls. 2 of them were twins with green shirts on. One of them had a leather jacket thrown over a green t-shirt, and the other one had a green blouse. And as they were explaining why they were wearing green, I ended up feeling attracted to both the girl in the leather jacket and the green blouse. But I wasn't quite sure which one of them I wanted to pursue that night, so I had to get to know each of them better before I decided. My follow-up then from the color question had to be something that got the entire group engaged. I knew that if I focused on only one girl, all the other friends would feel like I was stealing her away without building any kind of friendship with them first. So I turned to the 2 twins and I asked them, "This is probably a stupid question, but you guys are twins, right?" They laughed and said, "Yes, of course." So then I followed up with, "Well, which one of you is the good twin and which one's the bad twin? Because there's always one good and one bad." The whole purpose here was to build a friendly environment, to kind of take the attention off of me as the outsider and to make it seem like I was just part of their group hanging out and talking. So the 2 twin girls looked at each other and they both said that one of the twins was definitely the bad one because she was always the one getting in trouble. I positioned myself right next to the leather jacket girl and asked her, "Come on, you think she's the bad twin?" Now this got her involved in the conversation, so she ended up joking around and playing off the fact that this girl was the bad twin because she was the one who always did crazy things. The next thing I ended up following up with, I'm pretty sure I stole to the T from the book The Game. I ended up asking one of the twins, "Well, which one of these girls is your best friend?" To which she said the girl with the green blouse. I said to the 2 girls, "Alright, I want to give you the best friends test." And then I asked them, "Do you both use the same shampoo?" They instantly looked at each other and started laughing, to which I said, "Okay, I got my answer. You 2 have to be best friends, because when 2 girls are best friends, they look at each other first for confirmation before answering." This was just another little parlor trick to have fun, to open them up and to have them feel comfortable with me being there. And once I felt like the 4 girls were open enough to start talking to each other and the focus wasn't solely on me, I knew that I was in with them. At this point, this is where I started to qualify the 2 different girls that I was interested in that night. I would pull the girl in the leather jacket to the side and spend time talking to her one-on-one, and then I would pull the girl in the green blouse over to the side and start talking to her one-on-one. And their friends were totally cool with it because I had already established that it was a fun, interesting guy, and I was just there to have a good time. As I talked to the leather jacket girl, I noticed the girl in the green blouse was watching because I think she had started to grow an interest in me too, and now was getting slightly territorial and jealous of me talking to her friend. This was something I picked up on, so I decided to use it in the fold of everything. Eventually, I saw the girl in the green blouse talking to the two twins, so I decided to go up to them and say, "Hey, I noticed I've been ignoring your friend here for the whole night. Do you mind if I pull her to the side to talk to her?" The twins were all like, "Yeah, go for it." So I pulled that girl to the side, I looked her in the eyes and said, "What is it about you? There's something about you that just makes you so freaking interesting." Once again, I want to say this. I was learning a lot from the pickup artist community. I was reading books, going on forums, watching videos, so a lot of the material and lines that I was using were directly taken from those sources. Looking back on it, I thought those were good training wheels because they helped me build comfort in those situations. But now that I understand human interaction better, I feel like I don't need lines and stories to talk to people. I could just be my open and honest self. But going back to the situation, by approaching the conversation with her like that, she was qualifying herself. She was telling me why she was a good and awesome person. And of course, I noticed the leather jacket girl kind of pacing in the background looking at us occasionally because now she was the one on the outside watching. And as I talked to the girl in the green blouse, I decided she was the one I wanted to pursue that night. She was pretty, she was smart, she was funny, and I liked that about her. And as we grew closer throughout the night, I ended up putting my hands on her waist, holding her close, and eventually pulling her in to make out with her. And because I had built up so much tension throughout the night, I would talk to her, I would walk away. I would get really deep in conversation and then I would stop. There was this kind of on and off going that really pulled her in. But when I eventually started making out with her, that was the payoff. She knew at that point that she was the one I was interested in. At some point in the night though, I decided to tell the story of the cube. If you guys don't know what the cube is, I made a video all about it a long time ago on my previous channel. I'll link it up for you so you can watch, and I'll also have a link in the description so you guys can learn more about it. But I told her the story of the cube, which is made up of a bunch of different questions you ask a person and then really learn a lot about them from their answers. And once I got all her answers and told her the story, she asked me, well, what does it mean? So now at this point in the night, I had won over her friends to the point where they thought I was interesting and cool. I had built up a romantic connection with her by talking with her, asking her questions, and even making out with her. Now the last step was to ask her for her number. She kept asking me to explain what the cube meant, so I told her I would, but I couldn't do it that night. Instead, I pulled out a little notepad, drew 3 underscore lines, and then 1 dash in the middle, and then 4 more underscore lines. Looking at it on paper, it looked like a little thing you'd fill out your phone number on, so she caught on to that, wrote her number, smiled, and thought the whole thing was clever. I was super pumped because now that I had her number, I wasn't worried about what I was going to say to her when I first contacted her. I knew I had to tell her the results of the cube. And not explaining it to her that night was intentional because now it forced the need of a conversation to happen between us. I knew that if I contacted her, she would respond because she would be curious to hear what I had to say. And by the end of the night, I ended up kissing her goodbye. We got into the car to drive home, and I was super excited. This was perhaps my biggest win when it came to meeting a random girl, doing everything that I wanted, and ending the night successfully. Granted, the next day I did contact her. I called her and told her the results of the cube, and we decided to make plans to meet up. For some reason though, I got really lazy with it and I didn't really stick through to trying to make the plans work, so we ended up going our separate ways eventually, which I don't see as a failure at all. I had a fun night, I did everything I wanted to do, and I learned from that experience. What do you think? Do you think it's possible for you to create a situation where you can win over a group of people and isolate the person that you want to talk to and eventually lead to either making out with them or asking for their number? Leave a comment below and we'll talk about it. I know what I did in this story might be a stretch for some of you, but I wanted to share it to let you guys know that each of the little steps I took are many things that you can do. You can walk up to a group and engage every single one of them to befriend them. You can pull your crush aside and talk to them one-on-one to get to know them better. And you can eventually make the move. Whether for you that's a kiss or asking for a phone number, that's up for you to decide. But I think that you guys have the potential to do everything you want to. Sometimes fear sets in, and that's okay. But hopefully you learn from my experience and you can apply the things that made sense to you in your daily life. As always, guys, love and peace.